The most dangerous man in the room is the one who says the least. Why? Because the one who doesn't speak controls what others assume. He doesn't react. He watches. He calculates. And when he moves, it's already too late for you to respond. In a world obsessed with expressing, announcing, defending, and oversharing, silence is rebellion. It's unnatural. It's unnerving. And because it's so rare, it becomes powerful. You think speaking up makes you heard. You think arguing proves you're right. You think reacting makes you strong. But the truth? Talking too much exposes you. It gives people data, information, patterns, and people like you less the more you speak. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wasn't interested in morality. He was interested in control. And silence, used wisely, is control in its purest form. He wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." But fear doesn't always come from shouting. It comes from the unknown. The quiet man, he's unreadable. You don't know what he's thinking, what he wants, what he'll do next. And that is terrifying. Now let's flip the lens. Think about the loud ones. They blurt, they post, they rant. They think being the center of attention equals being in power. But Machiavellianism isn't about attention. It's about leverage. Timing, subtlety. Power isn't loud. It's precise. You don't have to be the most vocal to win. You just have to know what everyone else wants while keeping your own motives hidden. That's how kings move. That's how predators stalk. You've heard the phrase, "Speak softly and carry a big stick." Machiavelli would revise it. Speak rarely. But when you do, speak like it's a blade. Words should be weapons, not habits. Let's look at real life. Have you ever been in a meeting where someone dominates the conversation while another sits quietly, just watching? Guess who has more influence in that room? The quiet one is listening. He's identifying weaknesses. He's spotting openings. And when he finally speaks, everyone listens. Not because he's loud, but because he earned silence before he earned speech. In relationships, in business, in politics. The same rule applies. Don't tell them what you're going to do. Just do it. Let them guess. Let them wonder. Let them be off balance. Silence isn't absence. Silence is pressure. The kind that builds and builds until it breaks something. So if you're serious about winning, not looking good, not being liked, not being loud, but truly winning, then learn this rule early. Shut up. Watch. Move. Win. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Machiavelli. That one line has ended wars before they began. It's built empires, crushed rebellions, won elections, and today, it still decides who rises and who falls. Machiavelli didn't say don't win. He said don't waste your strength when your mind can do the killing. People think power is about domination, control, intimidation. But the most powerful men in history didn't win because they shouted louder. They won because they thought faster and hid better. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. If they know what you want, they can stop you. But if they never see it coming, they can't fight it. Force is loud. Force creates resistance. But deception, it's invisible. Deception lets you walk through locked doors without breaking them. It lets people give you what you want, willingly, because they don't know you're taking it. Let's be clear. Deception isn't about lying all the time. It's about strategy, masking your intent, acting weak when you're strong, agreeing when you secretly oppose, withholding when they expect you to give. Think about it. A chess grandmaster never yells across the board. He lures you in with what you think is a mistake, then checkmates you before you even realize what happened. That's deception. That's Machiavellian. And here's the real kicker. Deception is mercy. Violence leaves scars. Force creates enemies, but deception lets your opponent walk away, defeated and unaware. Let me give you a real-world example. A CEO wants to remove a powerful executive without sparking outrage. He doesn't fire him. Instead, he promotes him sideways, gives him a better title with no real influence. Everyone claps. The threat is gone, and no one realizes what just happened. That's control. That's winning, without the mess. In relationships, same thing. You don't argue to win. You listen, you nod, and you steer. You frame things in ways that make them believe it was their idea. And when it works, there's no resentment, just results. But this level of control requires one thing: emotional detachment. You can't manipulate if you're reactive. You can't stay calm if your ego needs validation. Machiavelli didn't say, lie to everyone. He said, learn what they want to hear, and decide if it serves you to give it to them. Sometimes honesty is power. Sometimes silence is. But the power lies in the choice, not the habit. People who always tell the truth are predictable, and predictability is weakness. So next time you're about to fight for something, ask yourself, can this be won without force? Because if it can, you're not just saving energy. You're building power no one can trace, and no one can stop. You don't need to lie to rewrite the story. You just have to control what people focus on. That's the secret of real power. Framing. Let me show you how this works. Imagine two people making the same mistake. One of them calls it a failure. The other calls it a lesson. Same outcome, different story, different power. That's narrative control. Machiavelli didn't want you to invent fake realities. He wanted you to select the pieces of truth that work in your favor and emphasize them. That's how kings fall. That's how empires rise. It's not about facts. It's about perception. Take a politician. He's accused of corruption. Instead of denying it, he says, "This is a distraction. My enemies are scared of my progress." Now the public isn't thinking, is he guilty? They're thinking, who's trying to stop him? He shifted the frame. You can do the same in your life. You're not unemployed. You're between phases. You're not wrong. You're misunderstood. You're not behind. You're building silently. See? It's not about lying. It's about controlling the frame before someone else does. Because if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And they won't do it with your best interest in mind. This is why silence is only powerful if you know when to break it. The goal isn't to never speak. The goal is to speak with precision, like a general picking the moment to strike, like a chess master moving the queen, not the pawn. Now here's your move. If you're still watching this, then you're not here by accident. You're someone who understands that power isn't about noise, it's about strategy. So here's what I want you to do. Share this video with someone who always reacts, someone who talks too much, someone who plays checkers while you're learning chess. Not to mock them, but to teach them. Because the game is changing, and silence is no longer weakness. It's the new weapon. If you want more than motivation, if you want control, power, leverage, subscribe now. Not because I told you to, but because you see yourself evolving into someone who doesn't need to shout to win. Power isn't given. It's Machiavelli never romanticized loyalty. To him, alliances weren't sacred. They were strategic. You don't owe anyone loyalty if that loyalty weakens your position. Read that again. We're taught to value loyalty like it's a moral gold standard. Stand by your friends. Stay loyal to your team. Never turn your back on your people. But Machiavelli would ask, do they serve your purpose or drain your power? Because the harsh truth is this: loyalty without benefit is weakness, and weakness invites exploitation. He believed in utility over sentiment. If an ally strengthens you, support them. If they endanger you, cut them off. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. Let's look at history. Great rulers built alliances with enemies when it suited them, and betrayed friends when they became a threat. Not out of hate, out of strategy. And that's the rule. Ally with advantage. Discard with reason. This isn't about becoming heartless. It's about becoming aware. Your energy is currency. Your time is capital. Give it only where it returns value. Look around you. That colleague you always help, does he help you? That friend you support, would they defend you in the room you're not in? That relationship you fight to save, does it strengthen your purpose or sabotage it? Machiavellian wisdom says, measure relationships by their outcomes, not their promises. Here's how you apply it. 1. Map your inner circle. 2. Identify allies, opportunists, and anchors. 3. Adjust access accordingly. Allies move with you. Invest in them. Opportunists move for themselves. Limit exposure. Anchors hold you down. Release them. But here's the twist. Sometimes even enemies are useful. If aligning with a rival helps you win something bigger, do it. Temporary unity can be a weapon. Because in Machiavellian strategy, principle doesn't beat positioning. Think about this. A lion is strong, a fox is smart, but the ruler who survives is the one who can be both. Sometimes the lion must roar, sometimes the fox must shake hands. The key, knowing when to switch. And remember, power is not just gained, it's also protected. Useless loyalty is a crack in your armor. So take stock of your alliances. You don't need more friends, you need the right ones. Most people think generosity comes from goodness. Machiavelli saw it differently. To him, generosity wasn't about kindness, it was about strategy. He wrote, "A prince must appear generous even if he is not." Why? Because generosity, when used wrong, weakens you. When you give too much, people expect it. And expectations kill leverage. Give too freely, and you look desperate. Give too often, and they stop valuing what you give. That's not power, that's dependency. But when you give with precision, at the right moment, to the right person, for the right reason, generosity becomes a power move. It's no longer a gift, it's a calculated investment. Imagine this, you're in a position of leadership. You give a raise, a favor, or an opportunity, right after someone delivers results. You've now rewarded loyalty, encouraged productivity, reinforced control. Now imagine giving the same thing randomly. No context, no timing. What do they feel? Confusion, entitlement. Eventually they'll want more, without doing more. Machiavelli warned against being too generous, because generosity creates dependence, and dependence leads to resentment, especially when it stops. So here's the Machiavellian rule. Appear generous. Be selective. Never lose power in the process. You don't give to be liked. You give to build influence. Because when people need you, they obey you. When they only like you, they leave you. Let's be real. People don't remember constant comfort. They remember moments that shifted their situation. So give sparingly, but make it matter. Even in relationships, a well-timed act of kindness, a compliment, a surprise, can deepen a bond more than constant attention, because it feels intentional. Valuable, rare. And in strategy, rare equals powerful. Here's the danger. Some people use kindness to hide weakness. They apologize too much, give too often, try to earn love with effort. That's not generosity. That's emotional bribery. And it almost always backfires. True strength? Giving because you can, not because you need to. So be kind, but don't be soft. Be generous, but don't be used. And above all, if it costs you power, it's not generosity. It's self-sabotage. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli. That line has made millions uncomfortable. but it also made a few men unstoppable. Let's break it down. Love is emotional. It's beautiful, but fragile. People love you when you give them what they want. When you stop, that love fades. It's conditional. Fear, on the other hand, is predictable. It doesn't need admiration. It doesn't even need approval. It only needs one thing: respect backed by consequences. And that creates control. Machiavelli wasn't saying be cruel. He was saying don't rely on affection to lead, because love is borrowed. But fear, when used right, is built. Think about real life. The boss everyone loves, but no one listens to. The teacher who's kind but constantly disrespected. The leader who wants to be everyone's friend and loses authority. Now compare them to someone feared but fair. People may not like them, but they follow them. They don't test them. They move when they speak. That's the difference. But here's the line you can't cross. Never turn fear into hate. Fear is based on respect. Hate is based on pain. If people feel hurt, betrayed, or humiliated, they don't just fear you, they plot against you. So here's the Machiavellian balance. Fear enough to be respected, but fair enough to be remembered. A feared leader who delivers results is respected. A loved leader who fails is pitied or overthrown. This applies outside politics too. In friendships, in business, even in dating. If you're too eager to please, people stop respecting you. They test boundaries. They take advantage. But if you hold your frame, set standards, create consequences, they may not always like you, but they won't forget that you command presence. Fear doesn't mean aggression. It means being grounded, clear, director, unapologetic, and ironically, the strongest relationships are often built on this clarity. People feel safer around someone who won't be manipulated, because consistency breeds trust, and trust breeds influence. So if you're choosing between being loved or feared, remember this: love is optional, fear is leverage. And when it comes to power, leverage wins. In a world that changes by the minute, flexibility is survival. Machiavelli understood this long before we had global markets, social media, or AI. He watched empires rise and crumble, not because they were weak, but because they refused to adapt. We're taught to stand your ground, stick to your values, never change. Sounds noble, but often, it's a death sentence. The forest survives storms because it bends. The rigid tree snaps first. Machiavelli didn't praise blind consistency. He praised results. He said, "A wise man must change his conduct with the times." That doesn't mean fake. It means strategic. You don't wear winter clothes in summer. You don't use yesterday's map for today's battlefield. Adapt or die. Let's look at real life. The business that clings to old models, it dies. The politician who keeps one script becomes irrelevant. The leader who ignores shifting loyalty gets overthrown. But the one who evolves, they don't just survive, they thrive. Flexibility doesn't mean softness, it means awareness. Tactical evolution, knowing when to. Speak versus stay silent. Push versus pull back. Attack versus delay. Change the entire game plan. Machiavellian adaptability is about reading the room before the room reads you. Never let pride lock you into a position. Never let fear keep you stuck. Think about a general at war. The battlefield shifts. The terrain changes. Enemies evolve. A great general doesn't cling to the first plan. He updates it every hour if he must. Because the goal is not to be right. The goal is to win. This also applies to your personal identity. Don't let labels define you. Don't marry old versions of yourself. You're allowed to reinvent. You're allowed to adjust. You're allowed to outgrow things and people. Adaptability means knowing who to be, where to be, when to pivot. And it also means letting go of what worked yesterday but holds you back today. Even loyalty to outdated beliefs. So the next time you feel pressure to stay the same, ask yourself, is this loyalty or laziness? Stubbornness is comfort dressed as strength. Adaptability is clarity dressed as power. You want to last? Then bend without breaking. Because in the Machiavellian world, the one who bends rules. Few lines in history have caused more fear or revealed more truth. The ends justify the means. Niccolò Machiavelli. To many, it sounds heartless, ruthless. To the powerful, it's reality. Let's break it down, not emotionally, but strategically. What Machiavelli meant wasn't do evil for fun. He meant, if the outcome matters enough, you must be willing to do what it takes. Because the world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards results. You can be kind, pure, good-hearted, and still lose. And when you lose, your goodness doesn't matter. History is written by those who win, not by those who tried to be nice. This doesn't mean morality is useless. It means morality, too, must be strategic. You can't play chess with emotions. You can't win wars with good vibes. You win with discipline, cold clarity, timing, ruthless precision when necessary. Let's be real. Would you lie to save a loved one? Break a rule to protect your future? Betray a friend to save your family? Most people already live this principle. They just don't call it Machiavellian. The phrase isn't an excuse for chaos, it's a warning. If your enemy is willing to do what you aren't, they will beat you. So you have two choices. Protect your ideals and stay powerless. Or learn to act with principle, but not at the cost of effectiveness. You don't need to be evil. You need to be sharp, focused, decisive, willing to make hard calls when comfort says no. Here's what separates strategy from savagery. Ask yourself one question. Does this move serve a greater outcome or just serve my ego? If it's ego, stop. If it's strategy, proceed. Machiavelli believed that the ruler who brings stability through manipulation is still more moral than the one who brings chaos through honesty. Because outcomes matter, not intentions. Look at today's world. CEOs who cut 10% of jobs to save 90% of the company. Doctors who lie to calm a patient under trauma. Leaders who negotiate with enemies to avoid bloodshed. Were these decisions pure? Number. Were they effective? Absolutely. So don't let guilt stop you from making moves that matter. Don't be reckless. But don't be weak either. Because in the world of power, the goal isn't to be perfect. It's to finish the game, standing. You've come this far. You've heard the silence, felt the weight of strategy over noise. And now you know, winning isn't loud. It's subtle. It's precise. It's done in the dark, while everyone else is busy being seen. Machiavelli didn't write for the crowd. He wrote for the player. Not the one who yells, but the one who calculates. Not the one who reacts, but the one who adapts. Not the one who wants to be loved, but the one who knows how to win. So here's what you've learned. Silence is leverage. Deception is a tool. Narrative is control. Alliances are temporary. Generosity is tactical. Fear beats love. When done with respect, adaptability keeps you alive. And when the goal matters, strategy beats morality. This is the Machiavellian code. And here's the truth. You don't need permission to use it. You just need awareness. Because most people, they live emotionally. They talk too much. They react too fast. They play checkers. You're learning chess. Power isn't magic. It's math. It's not personal. It's structural. And when you understand the system, you stop playing in it and start playing with it. So here's your final move. Subscribe, not to support me. To remind yourself that you're not average. You think deeper. You move quieter. You win smarter. Share this with someone who's loud, but powerless. Let them see the difference. Let them feel what real control sounds like. And remember this, in a world that worships noise, the quiet one owns the game. Now go. Say less, see more, shut up, and win.